as we
Previously on What's on the Wrist.
100th episode. So, to celebrate 100 shows and to say thank you, I am doing a giveaway with the all-new Zelos Helmsman 2. And then I think I'll give it a week's time to allow everyone to watch this video and to participate in the giveaway if they want to.
Okay, so here we are for the Zelos Helmsman 2 giveaway. Thanks so much for everyone who participated. All of your names are right in here. Let's see, there's Crown Mover. Get your name back into the pile there. Delfonso Garcia Correa Suarez. Get your name back into the pile. Let's see. Bob from Brisbane, there you are. So anyways, all of your names are right in here, and we're going to put everyone's name in here, and we'll reshuffle this. And now, a little bit of a drum roll, and the all-new Zelos Helmsman 2 goes to Nathan Brown. Well, congratulations, Nathan. You're the subscriber that the Zelos Helmsman 2 will go home to. I will be in touch with you, and we will get this watch off to you right away. Thanks again, everyone. And now, let's move on to today's show. What's up, guys? It's your boy Rich here, back at it again. And whenever we talk about buying a watch for $2,000, we hear about resale. And if we're thinking about buying a watch for $3,000, for sure we'll hear about resale. And as a bonus, we'll get all kinds of advice thrown in as well, such as make sure the watch is a Swiss watch with lots of history and pedigree behind it, or just save up for a Rolex. And we'll hear that a lot from the anti-Tudor fans, who will chime in by advising us on not buying the wannabe and to save up for the real deal. But unless we are literally saving up for a Rolex, that and the advice on the watch must be a Swiss watch if we're going to spend a couple $1,000s on it, falls apart. So let's talk about microbrands versus Swiss brands. Microbrands typically come in three categories. The first tier is where most of them are priced between $300 to $500, and we accept them, we root for them, and they're kind of off limits from our attacks because at those prices, they're not harming anyone's wallets. And then there's another one or two that are closer to $1,000, with another one or two that are over $1,000. And it's that group that we tend to attack in favor of Swiss brands. It is without debate that Rolex carries tremendous resale. They may not be the best horological watches when it comes to complications. But as I've stated in my other shows, Rolex is the most important Swiss brand. But we cannot hide behind Rolex and use them as a blanket statement for Swiss watches are where the resale is at. Because if we take Rolex out of the equation, there are not that many Swiss brands to carry that argument. We're not going to talk about vintage watches or even Patek, because Patek is geared to be a collector's piece from the beginning, and they're very controlled. Instead, we're going to talk about Swiss mainstream brands that we use interchangeably with Rolex. And if we look at two very popular brands, Omega and Breitling, we'll notice that they are very soft on the aftermarket. And if we climb up the horological ladder and look at brands like Glashütte, Parmigiani, Blancpain, or even Girard-Perregaux, they also are very poor on the resale market. And as much as I adore my GP, I also acknowledge that it suffers poor resale. And if we take a trip down memory lane and recall such brands as Baume Mercier, Ebel, Concord, and Bertolucci, well, we notice that those brands once carried a lot of cachet and were very prestigious to own. They cost thousands of dollars. But today we can get them for pennies on the dollar, and they are no longer carried in any boutiques. We can find them on obscure websites. Or if we talk about watches with great history and pedigree, let's look at Longines and Hamilton. Those both qualify for watches with great history, but there is no demand for those on the aftermarket. I love my Rolex and my Grand Seiko, but when I bought my Grand Seiko a little over a year ago, I heard so many things about it. Like, why would you spend $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 on a Grand Seiko when you can get a Seiko for $300? Well, I'm not going to address that because that question just irritates me. But, and this is a great example because my Grand Seiko today, I could actually make some money on it. I've seen it on eBay sell for $5,700 and other popular websites going for $5,200. And when I first got that watch, it retailed for about $4,500. So I wouldn't be taking a bath on my Grand Seiko at all. There are other Grand Seikos that have increased in value since last year. So this is just another great example of how people's predictions of certain watches not going up in value because they are not Swiss-made watches, well, they're wrong. The surge in quality microbrands is a relatively new phenomenon, so there isn't any real history there to show us what we can actually get for the watch. But these brands are becoming more familiar to us, largely due to channels like this or on watch forums where we come to learn and share our knowledge. So for those of us who claim that we will never be able to unload a microbrand, that is simply not true. Let's take Manta for example. At $1,700 for a new Manta Ocean King, that still may be out of reach for many of us. When we complain about a microbrand such as Manta, we're not complaining about the quality of the watch. We're complaining about the high price tag because we expect a microbrand to be more affordable. But if we can find a pre-owned Manta for a price that pleases us, I'm pretty sure we would get it, just like we would any watch. But there can be an advantage for owning an expensive Swiss watch. But it also carries a double-edged sword. So for example, if we owned a $5,000 watch and we sell it for half, we may not even get half, but we're going to use half for easy mathematical purposes. That means we still have $2,500 to use for whatever life calls for or towards a new watch. Versus if we owned a $300 or $400 watch, we will not get that money back. That money is long gone. Granted, we have to spend $5,000 to have $2,500 back, but that's a double-edged sword for sure. So there's that. Part of the joy of finding a microbrand that we really like is to sort of gauge how good we are at predicting the future of watches, because it would be really fantastic if the watch that we find today for a few $100s ultimately becomes a real treasure trove for us. That watch that we bought today for a few $100s could be worth a few $1,000s down the road. That is a long shot, but it's something that we can brag to ourselves by saying, see, I called it. I knew this watch would be a superstar back in the day. This is not about the Swiss versus everyone else. I certainly have great respect for many Swiss brands, including the ones I own. But I have received plenty of private communications from you guys expressing your confusion and feeling discouraged, causing your hesitation from buying a microbrand because of these arguments. So I think a reasonable counter-argument is that there are no Swiss guarantees that a Swiss watch will hold any higher resale than from anywhere else. And to make sure that we separate Rolex from all the other Swiss brands and not to confuse Rolex as a blanket statement for high Swiss resale. So I hope this makes it easier on purchasing your next non-Swiss watch, absent any deep financial analysis. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you the next time. You know, I kind of consider Rolex to be the Michael Jordan of watches, because when we talk about the Bulls, it's Jordan. Jordan is the stud. He is the superstar. Yes, the Bulls had some really talented, great players, Pippen, Rodman, Kerr, Paxson, but they would not have been as dominant without Jordan. But we don't say Jordan, we just say the Bulls. And that's kind of like what Rolex is. While the Swiss has some other really great watches that might have some great resale, it's Rolex that is the stud. It's Rolex that is the superstar. Should I leave this in here? This is more of a rant, but we'll see if this makes the cut. The Rolex resale. The value of the Rolex resale. My Grand Seiko last year retailed... My Grand Seiko retailed... how much was that?